Welcome to this week's episode of Serving the Community podcast. Each week, your host Trisha Stetzel is highlighting people and organizations in our communities that are serving through volunteer work and giving back to make our community, country, and even the world a kinder place to live. Hello, and welcome to this week's episode of Serving the Community podcast. My name is Trisha Stetzel, owner of Results Extreme Business Solutions and founder of this podcast. I'm really excited about our guest today, who was introduced to me from another guest, and he is the chairman of the board for Family Promise of Clear Creek, Ryan Kirksey. Welcome to the show.
Thank you, Trisha. Good morning. Happy to be here.
I'm so glad that you came to join us today. So, as the chairman of the board for this amazing organization, I'm sure you have lots of duties, and we're not going to talk about all of those amazing duties that you do out there, but I do want to dig into, your background and how you got engaged with this organization.
Yeah, so it came to me, pitched to me from some of the shepherds at our church. I've attended Southeast Church of Christ for a number of years, and a number of our members were on a previous iteration of the board, of Family Promise of Clear Creek, and many of them were rolling off or were looking for newer members. And so this was as the organization was just getting restarted about 6 years ago. And so I'm now getting close to the end of my 6th year on the board, but was connected through my church because our church has been for a number of years one of the partner host churches that works with Family Promise of Clear Creek.
Excellent. And serving as a board member is such an important job. So many of these nonprofit or not-for-profit organizations out there are always looking for board members. And it sounds like as you get to, kind of your tenure, there may be some options for folks who are interested in serving as a board member.
Absolutely right. And as a matter of fact, we're going through that process right now where we are looking into our community, Clear Lake, League City, Clear Creek, Friendswood community, trying to identify some candidates for our board. We sort of have a rotation where there are a number of our group that rolls off each year. And so we're all constantly looking at members of the community who have a certain passion and also a certain set of skills to hopefully come in and help provide some new blood and new thoughts and new vision for the program.
Yeah, absolutely. And I failed to mention Gail Nelson, the executive director for the organization, who is the one that introduced us. And certainly, if you know Gail, I know a lot of people who listen to the show do. And if you're interested in participating as a board member or even as a volunteer, which we'll talk about in a few minutes, certainly reach out to Ryan and or Gail, and they can give you the inside scoop on how you can help. So let's talk more about the organization and Family Promise of Clear Lake. Tell me who you're serving and how those people who you're serving are benefiting.
Yeah, so Family Promise of Clear Creek exists to serve exclusively homeless families. We all have exposure in some way with homeless individuals and those that we see that are homeless, but we serve just homeless families. And so what that means is either a family unit that consists of parents and children, or a single parent and children, or even an expecting mother who could come into the program if they meet the certain qualifications. So we want to make sure that we provide an opportunity to keep those families together. There are plenty of shelters or organizations that might say, okay, the children need to go to this stage, the parents need to do certain thing here. We want to make sure that we do everything that we can to keep those family units together. We believe that as we move them in a path to sustainability, that connection that they maintain and sort of how they can develop and work through this together will make them stronger as they move on.
Yeah, and so important. One of the messages that I took early on when I first met Gail is that it's about keeping the family together. There are so many families that are split up when they go into these shelters because, interestingly, not all shelters are created equal, and they'll take the men of the family as well as the boys and put them in one shelter, and then the women and the female children in another shelter, so families aren't able to stay together. And I love your organization and how they are able to keep these families together. One of the parts of the organization that I find very interesting too is getting these, not only getting the homeless sheltered, but also giving them the skills to get back into the job market. So, can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, so what we like to do is think of it in terms of a graduation. We don't just shelter them for a temporary period of time and say good luck, after 3 months or 6 months. It's we want to put you on a path to sustainability. We often describe it as a hand up and not a handout. We're not just giving charity and saying again good luck and God bless on your way. It is we want to develop certain skills within you and within your family so that you can be more sustainable moving forward. So that means a couple of different things. It means for the adults, they're going through, if they need employment, they're going through interviewing skills, they're going through programs of how to help them write a resume or help them look for a job. They're also going on more of the personal side, financial planning, budgeting, how to plan for the future in terms of finances. And so we're trying to provide a holistic view of what it means to not only have sustainable employment, but also take that and be able to provide for your family over the long term. There are plenty that we've seen that they can find a job, but then if things don't go the right way or they just stumble back into bad habits, they can fall right back into the to what they were doing before. So we want to put them on that path where they don't fall back into that cycle again.
Yeah, I love that. So, Ryan, tell me a little bit about why this organization is so meaningful to you. Why 6 years ago you decided to get involved and you've stayed involved all of these years.
Well, primarily for me, so I grew up and still live in the community. I grew up as a child in Clear Lake. I've then lived in Friendswood, now live in League City. So when I was looking for volunteer opportunities, it was about what can I do that stays in this particular community. There are plenty of places where I can and do get involved that look broader, either in the larger Houston area or around the world. But this is something that I know that's making a difference in the specific community in which I live. And so that's why I've stayed for so long, is I can see the results. I actually have people who have graduated from the program who now attend church with me. I have a family that's in my small group at church that are graduates of Family Promise of Clear Creek. So it's not just been about what can I do to help lead and manage an organization, but then what relationships I can develop and maintain after that. And so being a part of the community and the community-based organization has really helped me to achieve that.
Yeah, absolutely. I love that. So let's dive into the meat and potatoes of today's talk, which is
Mhm.
really how do people get involved? So we talked about the opportunity of maybe serving on the board,
Right.
and many people look for those opportunities. I heard another opportunity pop up as we were talking, as you were talking through ways that the organization helps families. I
Yes.
believe that there are some opportunities to volunteer in that space of helping families.
Yes. And our organization, like many nonprofits, would simply not exist if not for the help of the many volunteers we have. We have, I think, on our roster now over 850 people that volunteer in
Wow.
some capacity for that. And one of those, the very significant ways that they volunteer is through those classes, though the giving of their time to help them learn different sets of skills, learn different things that can help them be more sustainable and more successful moving forward. So yes, we are constantly looking not just for people that can provide those for adults, but also can help provide some of the basic fundamentals of those for kids, for people that can help watch or babysit kids while the adults are in their evening classes, right? We move these families together. And so that means when the parents are engaged in something else, we need something to assist with the children. And so that's a really fundamental way that people could get in touch with us to volunteer is in a way to help train these families and help grow their sets of skills. Now, I would say the largest piece of the pie of our volunteers come through how they work through the churches, because what our model does is it allows them to go week to week to a different church and they are sheltered at that church. And so that means a couple of things. It means we need people to stay there with them overnight, be hosts for these families. We need people to provide meals for them in the evenings and maybe make a breakfast that stays until the morning or pack a lunch for their kids. And so we have a number of people that through these churches that we partner with that are volunteered that way. And then we have people that come in. We have community organizations or Girl Scout troops or others that come in and provide service in some way, whether it's through taking the families to an activity or helping them learn a certain, learn something that maybe new that they could use in the future. There's just a number of ways that people can get involved, and no matter what your skills are or what your background is, we can find a way for you to contribute somehow.
Yeah, I love that. Well, and you were talking about Girl Scouts. When I'm thinking, Girl Scouts, Cub Scouts, anybody who is a den mother or den dad, if you will, what a great way to earn a badge, right, for these troops. Really get out into the community, do their community service, understand what it means to help somebody in the local community.
Right. And I promise
Um,
you, we will find a job for you if you need it.
we always need volunteers in these organizations. Well, I'm thinking about you were talking about teaching these families about finances. So having someone who maybe is a financial advisor that wants to volunteer back, what a great skill. Or helping with interview skills
Yes.
and helping these candidates get ready for a job. So there are so many ways that people can get involved and volunteer in this space. So I happen to know secretly, not really secretly, you guys have a big event coming up, one
Yes.
of your biggest fundraisers coming up this weekend.
Yes.
So let's talk about that.
Yeah, so November 13th, this Saturday, this is our major annual fundraising gala that we do this year. It's at Lakewood Yacht Club. It starts at 6 o'clock p.m. And this is always just a fantastic event. This year, something different and new and I think really exciting that we've added is there's a gentleman by the name of Phil Stacey, and if you've heard that name before, it's because he was advanced pretty far in one of the seasons of American Idol. He is a fantastic performer, and since his time on that show has gotten very involved with Family Promise at the national level, and often volunteers his time and is going to do the same for us to go and provide a performance. So he's going to be there Saturday evening at our gala. We have tremendous number of items that have been donated by the community for our auction. We have I think we're getting close now to 200 people that are attending, but we'd love to have in any way that you can, whether it's in attendance or you can go online and contribute through any of the auctions. We'd love to have your involvement in some way.
Excellent. So you still have tickets available for dinner.
I think there might be a couple. It's sort of this a scarcity syndrome where there might only be a few left.
Okay, there's only a few left. And the website is ccfamilypromise.org. And you guys have a news and events place out there where folks can go and see how they can get involved in that particular event. How exciting. I'm thinking, I think I might be around Lakewood this weekend. And that's why I was asking about the tickets. I may have to go grab those last two tickets that you have out there.
Go to the website and contact Gail Nelson. They'll be able to direct you to exactly what we have and what's still available.
Fantastic. And you guys also have a volunteer form, I believe, out on the website. So again, ccfamilypromise.org /volunteer, where you can go out and find the information that you're looking for and how you can get involved in this organization. Is there anything that we didn't talk about, Ryan, that we should have talked about that we really need to touch on?
Well, I think probably the most important thing to consider is people think about our community being quite affluent, and it is a very affluent community. I think those that live here and those that have been involved with the Clear Creek area for some time would realize that. What I think people don't realize is that just the Clear Creek School District, they identified over 2,000 children last year as homeless. And then we add to that in the areas that we serve, the Friendswood, Pearland, Dickinson, part of Galveston County. So all those areas combined, we're talking about every year more than 3,000 children that are identified as homeless. And again, we think about homelessness and we think about the guy we pass on the street, but these are people who are families just trying to stay together, that they're living at a friend's house, or they're in their car, or they're at the YMCA, or they're at some place where they're just trying to figure out their next steps. And we don't often see, if you have a classmate, if you have someone you work with, we don't often see that. We often get people who come in who are they're a bit ashamed, they're a bit embarrassed of what's happened, and they're just looking for a way to get back on the right path. So if you're thinking to yourself, well, homelessness doesn't really exist in this area, I'm here to tell you that that's not the case. There are plenty of ways that you can help. There are plenty of people that you can serve, and it exists. It is real. We hope to one day go out of business because the homelessness doesn't exist in this community anymore. But we want, in the meantime, to serve as many of them as we can.
Yeah, absolutely. And as you talk about the community, we all think of it as being affluent, and it appears that way on the surface. And either we're not looking deep enough, or so many of them are hiding, right? As you said, maybe embarrassed and don't want to come out and ask for help. And there are organizations out there like Family Promise of Clear Creek who can help these families in need. And I think it's just what you guys are doing is so important. And Ryan, I appreciate you serving for so many years on the board. And hopefully we can drum up by this podcast to drum up a few more board candidates. Is there a particular, should they reach out to Gail or to yourself for the board positions that you're looking to fill?
But both are equally fine. Gail and I are taking the charge right now of forming a board committee to help what we call put the nominations in for new board members. So we'll be doing that in the course of our next two board meetings in November and December. So whether Gail or myself, we're happy to talk to anyone. And always we're looking for a diverse set of backgrounds and skills. We have a lot of things we can do in our community, and so we're constantly looking for people that can serve in a variety of ways.
Yeah, awesome. I appreciate you being on the show with me today. I hope that your event this weekend is amazing. And Phil Stacy, wow, how awesome is that you guys have him for entertainment at the event this weekend. Again, it's at Lakewood. Go out to the Family Promise website so that you can get more information. I will also post that in the show notes. So all you have to do is point and click. Ryan, again, thank you so much for being with me today.
Yeah, Trisha, it was a great pleasure. Thank you.
And that concludes this week's episode of Serving the Community.